Problem I had with NFL owners is I can't fire them, right? Boosters, at least they're going to fight each other. So not one person gets to have one say, right? But even then, boosters die, you know? It's like net power gets transferred. Now, I'm reading a story about the University of Texas and integration because I'm working on this big project for Fox. And one of the things that a Texas Monthly writer named Gary Cartwright carried out was, man, Darrell Royal was late, but he was later still because what Gary Cartwright called the Orange Coats told him the first black player at the University of Texas better be 2 steps faster than Jesus and be able to run through a brick wall. I died. I fell out laughing. My man wrote that in 1976. All right? Knowing all of that, take into account how many coaching searches has Texas been through since Mac Brown?
3.
Okay. How many has Alabama been through since Nick Saban?
None.
How much money do you think has been doled out in buyouts to get rid of Charlie Strong, Mac Brown, and now Tom Herman?
I'm not smart enough to count that much money.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's just say it's a cool $100 million right now. Where does that $100 million come from? Boosters. Guess what boosters want in return for their money? Say so. Like, it was wild interesting to me to watch the Auburn head coaching search kind of go out, right? Because, like, shout out to my man John Schulte over at AL.com, senior sports editor at AL.com. Dude was on it. John Schulte was on it, talking about, one dude wanted to have Kevin Steele get the job. That's why the money was put up for the $21 million to buy out Gus Malzahn, right? And you basically had Bo Jackson and them tell that dude to shove it, and you had the athletic director over there going, fire me, I want Brian Harsin. So I'm interested to see how that goes, right? Because the buyout is the buyout. So I think with Texas in particular, soon as y'all stop buying people out, soon as y'all stop taking money from people to buy people out, CDC gets to start making some decisions. It's going to be all right, but it's never been that way at Texas because they just buy people out. Like, problem I had with Texas, really, CDC was doing a damn thing at TCU. Why? Gary Patterson's the guy. Gary Patterson's going to be the guy. It's going to be hard to get Gary Patterson up out of there when it's going bad, too. But because they only had the one dude, they could build something. Is Steve Sarkisian going to be that dude? I don't think so, because the history says for the last 50 years, y'all ain't had no patience for guys. And Mac Brown had to go in there and win right away.
So that's the right away part. You look at your team, right? Bob Stoops won in year 2,
right?
And he won a natty in year 2,
right?
So you gotta. So from CDC's perspective, I whether regardless of how you feel about Steve Sarkisian. My thing with CDC is how he decided to move knowing what he has to deal with. Like, he took this job, I think, knowing the pressure and all that goes into the Texas boosters. And I think it got real, especially around, after the Tom Herman debacle and Urban Meyer's name's getting thrown around and they're trying to go after Urban Meyer. I think after all of that died and he put out the dreaded vote of confidence behind Tom Herman was actually when he went to work, right? And so because with that search committee that ends up at Steve Sarkisian, they did go through a thorough process once it came down to just him, Jay Hartzell, and Kevin Teifel from the Board of Regents. That was it. It was 3 people. And they went in and they actually went through their own vetting process. And CDC is just like, look, I got to navigate the best I can with these people. So I do think he's sharp enough and shrewd enough to work within the confines of this. But yeah, it's going to come down to Texas is going to have to win fast. Like there's not going to be patience here. People just saw Steve Sarkisian tear it up at Alabama. But the skepticism is, well, we saw a lot of offensive coordinators tear it up at Alabama. Now, what he did, you can talk about his former, ties as a head coach and what he's learned from some of those things. I also think, RJ, we talked about this before offline. Do people like you? Do people like you? because that's where you kind of get that extra year and those things. Like when Charlie Strong got fired, even though a lot of Texas fans wanted him fired because of performance, it was hard because we liked him as a person. The players liked him. Like you didn't have, random contingents of people that used to be a part of the program, trashing you. And so that's something I even myself had to kind of come into line of thinking, especially when we have reports coming out after the fact of, how he was in the building in terms of Tom Herman and treating people. Do people like you? You look at Steve Sarkisian, he looks like he's been through life and he's genuine. And he's hiring a staff and he's saying all the right buzzwords. We're in the honeymoon phase right now. It's very obvious. Everything he's saying is different from, it's different from Tom Herman, and it's what we want to hear as a fan base. Absolutely. Like I used to talk to Tran about, the Tom Herman specials in games where you come out off a kickoff and, you're getting called for delay of game because you can't snap the ball in time, or, clock management issues. Like we're hoping, those things get fixed, or we don't forget about Bijan Robinson for 2 quarters. We're hoping that those common sense issues are just repaired with that particular uptick with him being there. But the moment that Texas proverbially struggles with Louisiana in the first game or whatever, because Tom Herman, we went through this honeymoon period with him too when he first got here. And then what happened? We went and lost to Maryland in the first game and it got real. So they're doing, that's why I started this whole conversation with you on the staff. The staff is critical now. Kyle Flood is here, to recruit and hit on 2022, but the kids that are there right now, that starting 5 that's going out there, they got to be good right away, RJ. They got to be good right away.
Or it's going to get ugly real quick. Like, the only thing that I think could save you from a faltering start to, say, Rice or Louisiana is 100% beating Oklahoma. But I don't see that in 2021. Like, I saw it in 2020, it didn't happen. I ain't see it in 2021. They're loaded for bear. Like, I believe in Bill Connolly's returning production, or SP Plus, not returning production, but in SP Plus, they're ranked number 3 behind Clemson and Alabama. I think Ohio State's at 4, right? And I think Texas is at 20. So it's not out of the realm of possibility at any stretch, but it's the same thing every year with Texas and OU. Everybody wants to throw out the records, but the record says Oklahoma's going to be here. All right. So